Hey everybody, welcome to the Hamakua Homestead. If you're new here, my name is Tiffany and today is Canuary. Yay! I'm so excited that Lisa over at SuttonsDaze has invited us to come along and join in on all of the Canuary fun again. If you're not familiar with Canuary, this month of all of January, you have 15 different collaborators, different YouTube channels coming together to bring you canning recipes to inspire you to can all year long. So make sure that you go check out all of the previous playlists and links and everything that's down in the description box down below so that you can see what other channels are doing and also watch the ones from previous years because there's so many really cool recipes out there. Canuary. This collaboration is not only sponsored by Lisa over at SuttonsDaze, but also by 4 Jars. At the very end of this month, on January 31st at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, Lisa is going to go live on her channel, SuttonsDaze, and she's going to be doing a live giveaway. And that's where the sponsorship comes in. She's giving stuff away, and 4 Jars is giving stuff away. So not only are you going to have a chance to win cool stuff, but also you're going to have 30 awesome recipes that you can rely on for safe canning and to cure your boredom all throughout the year. Having said that, let's get started with our recipe. In today's recipe, we're making Thai coconut squash soup. This batch is a little bit on the smaller side. You're gonna end up with either 3 quarts or 6 pints. And this recipe, the measurements are actually correct according to the book. I ended up with precisely 6 pint jars. To get started, you're gonna take 2 quarts of broth. You can do chicken broth, vegetable broth. I chose to do beef, even though it's not exactly according to the recipe in the book. That's what I have the most on. That's what I have the most on hand, so that's what I decided to use. Bring your broth up to a boil. Now you're going to start adding your ingredients. Start with half a teaspoon of red pepper chili flakes, 3 cloves of minced garlic, 2 fresh Thai chilies, de-seeded and diced, 1 stalk of lemongrass quartered, and 1 2-inch piece of peeled and grated ginger. Cover and reduce the heat. Bring it down to a simmer for 20 minutes. Stirring occasionally. When your 20 minutes is up, take out your lemongrass and then add your 1.5 pounds of squash or pumpkin, gutted, peeled, and cut into about 1/2-inch pieces. 2 tablespoons of sugar, 2 teaspoons of salt, 1 teaspoon of lime zest, 2 tablespoons bottled lime juice, 4 shallots chopped up, and 1 red bell pepper, chopped up. Bring this back up to a boil. Then reduce the heat and simmer for 5 more minutes, stirring occasionally. And here comes the fun part. Now you get to put it into jars. And like I said earlier, you can do this in pints or in quarts. Either is perfectly safe. Ladle your hot soup into your jar, leaving 1-inch headspace. Here is a handy dandy graph to show you where 1-inch, 1/2 inch, and 1/4 inch headspace is. Remove your air bubbles. You can use a fancy tool or just a wooden chopstick. Just get those bubbles to come to the top. Wipe the rims of your jar with vinegar to cut through any grease, any fat, get all the salt, spices, anything on there that needs to come off, because it's going to get in the way of your lid sealing to your jar. Put on your lids and your rings fingertip tight. Not too loose and not too tight. Don't crank it down, just enough to where you can get it with these 3 fingers, not using the wrist action, yeah? Now pop them right into your hot canner. You have hot soup in a hot jar, so you're gonna put it into a hot canner. If you had let this come down to room temperature or cool off in any way, you would start out with a cold canner. You don't want to introduce too hot and too cold together all at once, because that is how you're going to break your jars, create little micro cracks, all kinds of problems that you want to avoid. Put your lid on your canner and turn it into the locked position. Allow your canner to come up to a boil. You're gonna know when it's time for the next step when you have a steady stream of steam coming out of your steam pipe. Once that happens, set your timer for 10 minutes. Allow that steady stream to expel all of that air and replace it with steam for a full 10 minutes. Now it's time to place your weight on top of your steam vent. And it's also time to wait even more. You're gonna wait until this starts to do a little bit of a hula jiggle, and then you're gonna know it's time to set your timer after she's doing a dance. Wait for it. When the weight comes up, wait until your weight is dancing. That's how I wanna say it. When your weight is dancing, then you're gonna start your timer. If you're doing pint jars, you're gonna do 1 hour and 15 minutes. Quart jars is 1 hour and a half. Now that is one of the longer processing times compared to some other things. So be careful and don't walk away. You wanna keep an eye on your canner to make sure she's not acting up. Make sure you didn't run out of propane, anything like that. If you ran out of propane, that would be horrible, because then you have to start this whole process over again. So let's not let that happen, okay? Or if your power goes out, same thing. Don't let that happen. That would be terrible. That would be really sad. Now your time is up. So it's time to just turn off the heat and slowly walk away. We want to allow your pressure canner to come down from pressure all by itself. You're not gonna move it around. You're not gonna help it along. You're not gonna place cold towels around it or anything to try to help it come down quicker, because you're in a hurry to get to work later. Once it's down to 0 pressure, wait 5 more minutes. And then you can take off the weight. Crack the lid open and wait another 5 minutes. Again, this is coming back to not allowing the too much cold and too much hot coming together at the same time. That's why we're just cracking the lid and allowing the steam to escape so that the cold air from your room, in your house, your kitchen, doesn't go into the canner, causing it to cool down too quickly. Jar breakage, temperature shock. Let's avoid that. I've done it. I've been through it. It stinks. Heed my warning. At this point, you can take your jars out of your canner. Set them on top of something that's not directly on your counter. You don't want to have the cold granite or whatever it is to affect the bottom of your jars too much. And also, you don't want the jars to melt your countertop either. But make sure you're placing them in a spot where you don't mind them staying for 24 hours. If you're gonna get annoyed that they're there when you're making dinner later or breakfast tomorrow morning, that's not the place you wanna put them. They need to stay put and not get jiggled around. After your 24 hours, you can check your seals, make sure they're nice and tight on there, wash your jars, label them, and put them up on your pantry shelf. Don't run away just yet, we're not done. We're gonna come back later and do a taste test. All right. It has been about a month and a half since we made squash soup. So today is the day where we are going to try it out and see how we like it. All we need to add, well, we don't need to add anything, but what we are going to add today is a little bit of onions. I'm doing red onions today, a half a cup of coconut milk, and a little bit of cilantro on top. Time to give this a try. It looks really yummy. The only thing I'm gonna say so far is that it seems like most of the chunks of literally everything are definitely no longer chunky. I'm not surprised by that, but that's okay. It's part of the canning process sometimes. But it looks and smells amazing. That's pretty darn good. I'd say I definitely didn't need to put in a whole half an onion into one bowl, but that's okay. I'm not sad about it. Yeah. Those flavors are banging. Banging. That's delicious. It's hearty and fresh. The onions and the cilantro, definitely recommend that. It just adds to it so much. It's not too spicy or anything, for sure. I've got a couple little chunks of squash. I'm going to definitely say that this is worth the effort. It is really, really good. If you want it a little bit more spicy, I would say that you can just go ahead and throw in some red chili flakes or even some more hot Thai chili peppers, anything like that. Throw in some more spice right now. It won't hurt you. It'll be delicious. That's gonna do it for today, you guys. Don't forget to go down in the description box and check out all of the other channels that are participating in Canuary. And a huge thank you to Lisa and to 4 Jars for sponsoring and collaborating, organizing this entire collaboration. And that's gonna do it for today, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me today on the Hamakua Homestead. I'll see you again soon.